Zarathustra by Friedrich Nietzsche. 3. Backworldsmen. Once on a time, Zarathustra also cast his fancy beyond man, like all backworldsmen. The work of suffering and torture God did the world then seem to me. The dream and dictation of a God did the world then seem to me. Coloured vapours before the eyes of divinely deified one. Good and evil, and joy and woe, and I and thou. Coloured vapours, did they seem to me before creative eyes? The Creator wished to look away from himself. Thereupon he created the world. Intoxicating joy is it for the sufferer to look away from his suffering and forget himself. Intoxicating joy and self-forgetting did the world once seem to me. This world, the eternally imperfect and eternally contradiction image, an imperfect image, an intoxicating image of joy to its imperfect creator. Thus did the world once seem to me. Thus once a time did I also cast my fancy beyond man, like all backworldsmen. Beyond man, forsooth. And ye, brethren, that God whom I created was human work and human madness, like all the gods. A man was he, and only a poor fragment of a man, an ego. Out of mine own ashes and glow it came unto me, that phantom, and verily it came unto me from the beyond. What happened, my brethren? I surpassed myself, and suffering one, I carried mine own ashes to the mountain. A brighter flame I contrived for myself, and lo, thereupon the phantom withdrew from me. To me, the convalescent, would it now be suffering and torment to believe in such phantoms? Suffering would it now be to me, and humiliation, thus speak I to the backworldsmen. Suffering was it, the impotence that created all backwards, and the short madness of happiness, which only the greatest sufferer experienced. Weariness, which speaketh to get the ultimate wish one leap, with a death leap, a poor ignorant weariness, unwilling even to will any longer, that created all gods and backworlds. Believe me, my brethren, it was the body which disappeared of the body. It groped with the fingers of infatuated spirit of the ultimate walls. Believe me, my brethren, it was the body which despaired of the earth. It heard the bowels of existence speak unto it, and then it sought to get through the ultimate walls with its head, and not with its head only, into the other world. But the other world is well concealed from man, and dehumanized, inhuman world, which is terrestrial naught, and the bowels of existence do not speak unto man except as man. Verily, it is difficult to prove all being, and hard to make it speak. Tell me, ye brethren, is not the strangest of all things best proven? Yes, with this ego and its contradiction and perplexity speaketh most uprightly of its being. This creating, willing, evaluating ego, which is measured in value of things, and this most upright existence, the ego, it speaketh of the body, and still implieth the body, even when it mustn't the raven and fluttereth with broken wings. Always more uprightly learneth it to speak, the ego, and the more it learneth, the more doubt it find titles and honours for the body and the earth. A new pride taught me mine ego, and that teach I unto men no longer to thrust one's hand into the sand of terrestrial things, but to carry it freely, a terrestrial head, which giveth meaning to the earth. Anew will teach I unto men to choose the path which man hath followed blindly, and do not approve of it, and no longer to slink aside from it, like the sick and perishing. The sick and perishing, it was they who despised the body and blood drops. But even those sweet and sad poisons they borrowed from the body and the earth, from their misery they sought escape, and to the stars were too remote for them. Then they sighed, oh, that there were heavenly paths by which to steal into another's existence and into happiness. Then they contrived for themselves their bypaths, the bloody draughts, beyond the sphere of their bodies and this earth. They now fancied themselves transported, these ungrateful ones. But what did they owe the convolution and rapture of their transport to their body and this earth? Gentle is Zarathustra to this sickly. Verily, he is not indigent at their modes of consolation and ingratitude. May they become conversants and overcomers, and create high bodies from themselves. Neither is Zarathustra indignant at a convalescent who looketh tenderly unto his delusions, and at midnight stealeth round the grave of his God, but sickness and sick frame remain even in his tears. May sickly ones have there always been among those who muse and languish for God. Violently they hate the discerning ones and the latest of the virtues, which is uprightness. Backwards they always gaze towards dark ages. They then indeed were delusion and faith, something different. Raving for the reason was likeness to God, and doubt was sin. Too well do I know those godlike ones. They insist on being believed in, and that doubt is sin. Too well also do I know that they themselves most verily believe in. Verily, not in backwards and redeeming blood drops, but in the body do they also believe most, and their own body is for them, and the thing in itself, but is sickly thing to them, and gladly would they get out of their skin. Therefore hearken they to preachers of death, and themselves preach backwards. Hearketh rather, my brethren, to the voice of the healthy body. It is a more upright and pure voice. More upright and purely speaketh the healthy body, perfect and square built, and it speaketh of the remaining of the earth. Thus spoke Zarathustra. From this chapter we can see, especially in the last part, Nietzsche talking about those who promote God and speak about God. They view doubting religion as a sin and will go about crushing any doubt to their faith. This is what Nietzsche spoke of, and this is indeed what they are, religious extremists who want the entire world to be part of their religion, whether they be Muslim, Christian, Jewish, whatever.